हरिः ओम् श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Namaste friends, a warm welcome to the third revision session of Atma Bodha. We have completed the entire text and now we are revising it verse by verse. The 68 verses have been divided into 8 sections based on the topic. In the last 2 classes, we studied how only self-knowledge removes ignorance, paving the way for moksha. We have also learned how the qualities of the anatma are superimposed upon the self, leading to samsara. In today's class, we will be studying verses 41 to 53, which reveal the glorious self. They are divided into 2 segments, verses 41 to 46, which will be moderated by Dr. Kiran. The speakers here are Sri Shiv Kumar, Dr. Asha Nayak, and Sri Vinayakan. Following this, the next segment comprises verses 47 to 53, and this will be moderated by Dr. Anupama Shetty. The speakers here are Dr. Rupa and Dr. Mamta. I now invite our review teacher, Dr. Timappa Hegde sir, to introduce the session and lead us into a thorough revision of these beautifully illustrative verses. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Panaka. Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. This weekend I had a chance to look into the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and see the greatness of this Upanishad. Of all the various chapters, in chapter 4, there is one section called Sharirika Brahmana. And there I discovered a string of verses which talk exactly what we are doing right now about the greatness of Jnanam and what is so great and what is the benefit of Jnana. And in that, I came across one verse which all of us are very familiar because we have studied Tripti Deepa Prakaranam, which talks about Atma Jnana Mahima. That means what is the glory of or the greatness of Atma Vidya. The verse we are familiar, Atmanam Ched Vijaniyat Ayamasmiti Purushaha Kimichan Kasya Kamaya Shariram Anuswam Jvaret. Purushaha, this is a Chandas Prayoga, or the freedom that a rishi has by making certain changes. What is actually Purusha is being said as Purushaha. Purusha here means human being, any one of us. All of us should know our true nature. And the Upanishad here, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, we are not ordinary human beings. We need to be very clear that we are just a body-mind trying to express our true nature. Vijaniyat, we need to see our core nature as Atma. And this Atma is limitless. We are infinite. We have no limitations in time, no limitations in space. There is nothing like death for us because we have been there from the very beginning. We are of the nature of Satchit Ananta. But there is one word called Ched, which means big if. That means it may not happen. All of us have Manushutvam, that means we are human beings, and it is only human beings will be able to express Satchid and Anantatvam or Ananda. We are all mumukshus. That is why we are in this class today. And we have the grace of great teachers like Swami Paramarthananda. And that's why Chet means let me make every effort to get Brahma Jnanam in this knowledge. And what happens if you understand your true nature? I am Asmi, which means you realize I am that Atma And such a person, kimichan kasya kamaya, becomes totally free from all desires. Few things happen. The ego drops. That means there is no one in me who desires. And there is nothing real in this world. Whatever I see is only mithya. And therefore, there is nothing to desire. And once you understand these two things, there is no desirer in me, there is nothing real in this world to desire. Shariram anuswam jaret. What is there that such a person has to struggle with this body? Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'll request Dr. Kiran to moderate the first half of this session. Dr. Kiran, please.
Hari Om, Gurubhyo Namaha. As Sir has beautifully explained previously, Gnana Palam is being discussed in these 41 to 46 verses. We practice spirituality. What is the benefit? Without benefit, human being does not do anything. Everything, he needs some benefit or the other. What is the benefit of spirituality? Is it like he's attaining some riches, or is it attaining some knowledge, or is become some expert in Vedanta like any other experts like scientist, or I'm a automobile engineer, aeronautical engineer, etc.? No, this is slightly different. The main purpose of spirituality is to attain what is called as moksha. What is moksha? Let us be clear before we move further. Moksha, is it something like it is promised in some places, it is riches and you'll have all the, comforts and so on. If you have enough money and perhaps power even in this Janma here or in some political position or a businessman, say Ambani or somebody or Musk or somebody can have. But looking at their lives closely and looking at our lives closely, we realize that this itself is not enough. However rich I may be, however educated I may be, and whatever position I may be, I am not happy. Why is it? What is this moksha then? Moksha is not some heaven or something which is brought. It is security, peace, and happiness, as Swamiji says. That freedom, that you don't need anything, you are not dependent on anything. You are happy in yourself, you are reveling in yourself, whether anything happens to you or not, you are happy inner self. This ultimate security, peace, and happiness is moksha. And our scriptures, Vedanta especially, guarantees it here and now. Next slide, please. Let me start with the first teaching verse of Gita. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Ashochan Anvyashocastvam Pragnam Vasyaste Bhashase Gatasun Agatasuncha Na Anushocanti Pandita. Here, he stresses on Tvam. This first six chapters of Gita is about Tvam. Tvam is what? You. Ultimately, he says Prajnavam. That means the knowledgeable one, the knower one is who is that? The one who knows everything in the world? No. The one who knows Tvam, the real you, the real I. He is the one the Lord says is wise. Rest all are otherwise. And how is that you know that you know the real self? He says, the wise men do not grieve for living or dead. This is a little tricky verse, and Osho beautifully tells, if a human being is not subtle enough to appreciate and empathize with the grief of others, if the spirituality does that, I don't want such spirituality. So here, the question is not that I am become like a zombie, like I don't care for anybody. The real thing is that I do not have grief. The word is grief. That means I do not have attachment. I do not have selective grief for something and it's not grief. Every thought which comes to me are equanimity and I treat with it. And every human being, I treat it with. It's not that somebody is died who is bad. I say, oh, okay. This we can assess in Krishna's own life. He treats even Kauravas with same respect. Ultimately, when Duryodhana and all Kauravas died, he goes to their mother, and that mother curses him. Still, he takes it. When Karna dies, he will be there next to him performing last rites. He doesn't say, oh, you are bad and I don't want to do anything. And when Bhishma is dying, he asks Dharmaraya to go and seek knowledge from him. he treats both Kauravas and Pandavas in a same measure. But he knows Dharma is with Pandavas, and that's why, as a body is this, as a mind is there, we have to follow this Dharma, and he aligns with Dharma. That does not mean that he hates somebody. So, the whole purpose of spirituality is to get rid of this grief. That is all the essence. Next slide, please. And if you analyze our own life, there are three great fears which is mentioned. That is death, disease, and old age. Ultimately, it all can be combined into death. We have this eternal fear of death. Everywhere, anything we see, if we are, unenlightened, I may have put it, we see and analyze with respect to death. Anything which is far away from death, we think we are comfortable and happiness. Anything which is closer to death, whether it is disease, old age, suffering, we involve it as unhappiness. Is it true? That we need to analyze very close. Ultimately, the real enlightened person is the one who conquers this fear of death or this three great fear. Next slide, please. How to conquer this? As Sir was explaining, Brihadaranya question, Atmanam Ched Vijanaya. So if I know the real Tvam, I know the real I, then what it is, whether is it really this only this body or it is anything else. Once we realize that the essence of me or I or Tvam is everywhere the same, the essence in you, the essence in the world, the essence in every even insentient being is same. Once we realize there's no need to be selectively possessive of something, there's no need to deject something, etc. And such a person conquers the fear. Such a person conquers the death because knows death is with respect to this body, and I, the Dehi, has no death. Once this is attained, then what is that? Will he suffer from anything? The body undergoes its own decay, everything. And whatever is according to karma, the next thing happens. Next slide, please. So, such a person, Lord Krishna has described in Sthita Prajna, that is, one who revels by himself and within himself. That means all the emotions which we see are in this Sthita Prajna, like the waves coming in the ocean, less like a water in which it can be an ocean, it can be a lake, anything. It is only related to the medium which you use based on that. But I, the real Dehi, the real me, is beyond all this, or everything occurs within me. Once you know, he is not deterred by something which he doesn't like. He accepts that as it comes because that is attached with the body, it comes as a free. Once such a person is called Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is not one who is always laughing. Sthita Prajna is one who has this Ananda. Ananda means Ananta. That means he takes happiness, unhappiness, comfort or discomfort, everything with same equanimity. He faces the world, he accepts whatever this body is getting without any bit of hesitation. Such a person is called Sthita Prajna. And these subsequent verses describe what is it and how to obtain that. It is a sort of Jnanapalam revision verses. These are beautiful verses of Atma Bodha because it comes with beautiful illustrations, examples. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now I request Shiv Kumar ji to explain 41 and 42.
Hari Om, Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. This verse 41. Gnatra Gnana Gneya Vedaha Parenatmani Vidyate Chidanandaika Rupatvat Deepyate Swayamevahi. Next slide, sir. We all know there are 6 pramanams or sources of knowledge as shown in the slide. All these sense perceptions, when they make contact with an anatma object, thoughts are created. These thoughts are converted to knowledge of the object. Next slide, sir. There are 3 fundamental factors for any intellectual experience, any intellectual experiencing, namely the subject, the object, and the necessary relationship between the two. In the absence of even one of them, experience or knowing is not possible. An experience or knowing happens when the experiencer connects with the objects of experience. This knowledge, comprised by experience of things external to ourselves, is the intellectual knowledge. But this very same intellect is incapable of knowing or experiencing our inner self. Hence, if we are involved in the sensory world, we are far away from being the Atma. Gnatar or Pramata or Drashtru means the knower. Gnanam or Pramanam or Darshana means knowing or the instrument of knowing. Gneya, Prameya or Drishya means that which is to be known, that which sees, the process of seeing, and that which is seen, or subject, object, and the link between the two. Next slide, sir. In the lower or Savikalpaka Samadhi, there is distinction of Gnatar, Gnanam, and Gneya. In Shloka 40, Bhagavad Pada said that Gnani is Brahmavid. He knows. He has knowledge of Brahman. The moment Acharya uses the expression that the Gnani knows Brahman, we should not wrongly understand that Brahman as an object, Gnani as the subject, and knowing or knowledge is the instrument. Gnatra, Gnana, Gneya, and if these three exist in Upasana, then we say Triputi exists in Upasana. Next slide, sir. In the first line of this verse, Bhagavad Pada says, this Triputi, Gnatra, Gnana, Gneya, Beda, is Pare na Atmani Vidyate. There is no Beda, distinctions between Gnatra, Gnana, and Gneya in Paramatma. Swami Anubhavanand ji gives an analogy. Take the mouse for an example. It is illumined by the light. Both the light and the mouse are illumined by my eyes. And my eyes are illumined by my mind. To see the mouse, we need the light from the tube, from the external light to illuminate. To see the external light, we do not require the mouse. The external light is self-illumining and does not require any other external sources of light. Proceeding with this logic, we do not need any other external object to prove that we have eyes or eyesight. Similarly, to know the existence of mind behind the eyes, we do not need eyes even. The mind is illumined because of any of the sense organs, but not because of any of the sense organs, but illumined by consciousness, existence, that is Atma. Finally, coming to consciousness, existence, or Atma, we do not require any external light or senses or mind or the intellect, because Atma is the ultimate light, and in its light only everything else is revealed. In its light only Atma reveals itself. Next slide, sir. Atma being non-dual, homogeneous, self-illumining, and eternal, the self does not have any divisions, such as the subject, object, or medium of experience. Vritti is necessary to illumine an object sensed by our sense organs. But vritti is not necessary, and it cannot illumine Atma, the awareness itself. When there is a vritti, Atma shines and illumines the vritti. And when there is no vritti, still Atma still shines, illumining the absence of vritti, because Atma is Swayam Spurati, self-effulgent. There is no need for any external light. The Supreme Self reveals itself. Hence, as per the second line of the verse, Chidanandaika Rupatvat Dipyate Swayameva Hi. The Triputi for knowledge through the mind is invalid. In higher or Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, the distinction between Gnatar, Gnana, Gneya disappears, and Gnani remains completely absorbed in Brahman. So, Atma is not evident because of thought. But thought, on the other hand, is evident because of Atma. Therefore, in Vedantic meditation, Triputi is not there. Atma is evident without a thought. Division is not there in Paramatmika level, but exists in Vyavaharika only. Next slide, sir. After transcending the body perceptions, mental feelings, and intellectual thoughts, a question arises in every seeker. If Atma is self-evident and thought is not required to illumine Atma, then Vedantic meditation must be thoughtless state. Whereas we saw in the earlier verses that Vedantic meditation involves thinking. Next, how will I realize or experience the self? With what instrument will I experience the self? Next, if Triputi is not there, how can knowledge take place? Swami Paramarthananda clarifies that in Vedantic meditation, we entertain thoughts to objectify anatma, to negate anatma. I am not this body mind. Swamiji has repeatedly mentioned that Atma Gnanam is not an event, it is not an incident, nor a happening. There is no question of Atma Gnanam taking place because Atma is Swayam Spurati, Sarvada Prakashamana Vartate. Swami Chinmayananda says, self being self being the very consciousness which illumines the medium through which all thoughts, feelings, and perceptions are illumined. And when all these are eliminated to gain knowledge, no other instrument of knowing is necessary. Bhagavad Pada Adi Shankaracharya says, knowledge is just a word used to say that a gnani is not ignorant or Brahman ignorant of Brahman, neither does he struggle to know Brahman, nor does he say, I don't know Brahman or I know Brahman, because he simply says, I am Brahman, and thereby all his struggles stop. We have understood these sadhanas or spiritual disciplines such as meditation required to be practiced constantly for realizing Jivatma and Paramatma Aikya. What is the phalam or benefit? How do these sadhanas result in the Aikyam? This is explained in the verse 42, which goes like this. Evamatmarano dhyana mathane satatam krite uditva gatir jwala sarva gnanendhanam dahet. Next slide, sir. If a person goes through all the three disciplines, that is Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, the consequence is evidently Gnanam. Just as with the arrival of light, darkness is destroyed, with the arrival of Gnanam, ignorance is instantaneously destroyed. Once ignorance is destroyed, then all the misconceptions based on ignorance are also destroyed. Therefore, removal of ignorance removes Kartrutra Bhavana. With that, the cycle of Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, or Samsara goes away. Important to note that all these are products of ignorance or Ajnanam only. As is the uniqueness of Atma Bodha, genius of Bhagavad Pada Adi Shankaracharya, in this Phalam verse, Bhagavad Pada chooses the often quoted example of Arani or Agnimathanam, often quoted in the Shastras, especially in Kaivalyopanishad. Agnimathanam is a process of kindling fire using wooden tools consisting of two wooden blocks and a spindle and two ropes. Yajna is a ritual, as we all know, where we invoke gods through Agni Devata as intermediary and submit prayers for desires to be fulfilled. Agnimathanam literally means churning of fire, an ancient Vedic technique for generating the sacred Agni through friction for sacred rituals. and yagnas, described in the Vedas, particularly in the Rig and Yajur Vedas. Agni Matanam symbolizes the invocation of divine energy in its purest form for making an arani, the sacred wooden tools used to generate fire through friction, pure and dried wood free from impurities from the sacred Ashwatha tree is selected. Together, these tools symbolize the union of energies to produce the sacred Agni, which is central to our Vedantic rituals. The Ashwatha tree, as we know, holds profound significance in Sanatana Dharma, spiritually symbolizing eternal life. Next slide, sir. The Arani consists of Adara Arani, Uttara or Pravargya Arani, and an Upper Arani. In the process of Agnimathanam, the Uttara Arani or Pravagya Arani is placed in the semicircular grooves in the wooden base, Adara Arani, and it is rotated with two ropes wound around the Uttara Arani by two persons seated on either side, creating a churning motion while applying pressure on the upper Arani, holding the spindle in position to produce friction. During Agni Mathanam, Vedic mantras are Agni Gayatri mantra, Om Agnaye Vidmahe Mahajwalaya Dhimahi Tanno Agni Prachodayat are chanted with continuous controlled and rhythmic movements. Friction is gradually increased between the Adara and Uttararani, generating heat, and eventually a spark is born. The spark is carefully transferred to a bundle of dry grass or other easily combustible material such as cotton or gomaya. Once the flames arise, the sacred fire is stabilized and offered to the Homakunda. The friction symbolizes effort, generates a spark, that is divine grace, highlighting the synergy between the material and spiritual worlds. Spiritually, the churning process can be seen as a metaphor for life's struggles, that is friction, that ultimately ignites the inner fire of knowledge, enlightenment, or spiritual awakening. This metaphor is explained in detail in verse 11 of Kaivalyopanishad. Next slide, sir. The application of this analogy in this verse of Atma Bodha is as follows. Evam Atmaranau Dhyana Satatam Krute Sati. Here, Atma means Anthakaranam, the Nididhyasakas or students' Anthakaranam. The lower Arani denotes the mind or lower self, the ego. The upper Arani denotes the higher self. The Matanam or churning with the spindle denotes continuous, intense meditation. Meditating on Aham Brahmasmi Mahavakya. Meditating on Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. The fire of knowledge churned, igniting the cotton ball of ignorance. Udita Avagathe Jwala, the Agni, is compared to knowledge of Gnanam. As Agni illumines and destroys, so too Atma Gnanam illumines Brahman and destroys karma. Both Sanchita and Agami karmas are destroyed, Prarabdha karma is falsified, or the sadhaka will not have Satyatva Buddhi in Prarabdha karma. The flames of Atma Gnanam will burn down. The flames of Atma Gnanam will burn down all the fuels, that is Agnanam. Agnana Indhanam Dahet. Just as Agni burns the Indhanam, Gnanagni burns Agnanam. Next slide, sir. Next, sir. Sir, next slide. Concluding, the lower ego and higher self are pressed to the Mahamantra Aham Brahmasmi. And when through reflection it is churned properly, the fire of knowledge is generated. And meditation fans the fire of knowledge into a conflagration. This conflagration burns all our fuel of ignorance and misconceptions, continuing our contemplation of thought and Vedantic meditation. Thought in Aham Brahmasmi is for negating the idea of limitations. I am an individual, this body and mind, so on. Aham Brahmasmi thought is deliberately entertained for negating the anatma and its attributes, negate sense of mortality. Thereby, after negating everything, what is left is I am. I am that Chit and I am Sat. Swamiji quotes the example given by Swami Chinmayananda of a sculptor who selects a rock, chips away with a rough chisel, then a medium, and then with a fine chisel for a length of time, removing the unwanted pieces. In our case, with Neti Neti, we should negate the sense of mortality, misconception, and do Tyaga. And when unwanted parts, the Anatma, are negated, what is left behind is Brahman, myself. Jivatma is the rock, and after Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, Jivatma is Paramatma. Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you, Shivji. Previous two verses, the Gnanam Palam has been explained, or Nididhyasanam has been covered. Taittiriya Upanishad famously says, Om Brahmavit Apnoti Param. That means, knower of Brahman attains the ultimate, or the moksha as we are called. There will be subtle, some confusion comes in our mind. Is Brahman an object? Like how Shivji has explained, if you want to know any knowledge, say for example, I want to know this phone, that means I have to think first, that has to come into my field of vision or my field of thinking. That is, I should like it or something like that. Once it comes, then I use suitable, say vision, etc., or touch, etc. So these are the tools I use. That is the pramanam. And then I want to know it. So the person who I am knowing, that this is Dr. Kiran or Kiran, whatever you want to call, wants to know this, and I'm using the tools for it. It can be which is available to me or external tools. Is this knowledge is also similar to that? No. For example, let me say, you are sitting in a dark room. Do you know or you don't know about yourself? Do you want to see to say, okay, this Kiran is there because I am seeing in a mirror or something, or I'm touching and seeing? No. So go more subtle than that. You feel thoughts describe you. So you have contemplated on something and you are made some mental picture of yourself, like I am this, that, and all that. That comes. Just go more subtle into that. When you were in a child, you had a different thoughts of yourself, different being of yourself, different body almost of yourself, but still you own that as yourself. And now you have a different thoughts, different everything. Still you own this yourself. So what is that which is the real you? This is this thing which we want to know. Once we analyze, anything which I want to know is different from me. So, for example, if I want to know something external world, I showed the phone, that means that phone does not belong to me. Similar to that, if I want to know the real me, then if I want to use mind, is it possible? No, because this is subtle than the mind, this blesses everything. This is the ultimate knowledge. And what, when I subtract everything I get, this is the Advaya or the pure knowledge. This is beyond the thought process of Vritti. How to know this? Once you know this is the Atma, this all Anatma is negated. Similarly, when Anatma we realize as this is not the real me. For example, when I realize that this body is not me, I am the one who is blessing this body, then all the changes which occurs to the body does not belong to me. This is the important capsule. So once I know that this is negated, ultimately, just like how I don't need anything like a vision, anything to know me or this body, I don't need anything to know I am Swayam Prakasha. Just the thought that, just like how the lunar in solar eclipse, the moon just covers like that, this Agnanam has partially covered the real me. Once this Agnanam is revealed, then is removed, then I Swayam Prakasha, that the real me is revealed itself. I don't need to another, okay, how is this real me and all that. It is just like Eureka, you know it. Then there's no need to, separately analyze this. This is what is told about this Brahman. Next slide, please. And this wants to know and to become. If you have any slightest doubt, that means you have not got it, or that means you have not. And doesn't mean that it is the end of the world. Still, there are a lot of other scriptures to read, other to do Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasam. You have to keep on doing it. And here, what is stressed is the Mahavakyam, such as Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma. These Mahavakyas are contemplated again and again. And any little bit doubt is there, you go to Guru and get it cleared. Once it is done, and another important thing, so I've got very clear, but still I'm not feeling. That is because of your or my vasanas or habitual reaction. Once this is removed using the sadhana tatushaya sampana, that means all the malam is removed. All what I have, this, we have accumulated over years using our tools of mind, all that is removed, then automatically this Atma reveals or shining in itself. This is what I was telling before. We revel in ourselves, Ramate iti Rama, and we reveal that. Next slide, please. So, to further explain these verses, the idea, the next two verses, Dr. Asha Naikji will be explaining.
Om Guru Pyo Nama. Jai Gurudev. The shloka goes like this. Aruneva bodhena purva santamaserte tat avir bhavet atma swayam evam anu anchuman iva. The shloka meaning, as the sun rises by itself after dense darkness is destroyed by dawn, so the Atman reveals itself after ignorance is destroyed by knowledge. Next slide. Scriptures are trying to explain with example what is vritti vyapti and phala vyapti. Anything that is self-illumine, one process is required, that is removal of ignorance, because of it is self-shining, Chaitanya. Our teacher, Dr. Thirmapa, always explains what Shankaracharya said is, to know I am, I don't need any sense organ. I don't need anybody to tell me that I am. I know I am, but what I don't know that I am Brahman. So this knowledge becomes of self-shining. We don't need a torch to tell us that. Next slide. The word anunena eva bodhane, by knowledge. Iva is like. Bodhena is by knowledge. Aruna is sun. So arunena bodhane, due to knowledge, what is like a dawn, and dawn is light of the sun just before it rises. Next. Purva is east. Santamase is a dense darkness or pitch darkness or ignorance. Rite is removed. So next slide. Tata avir bhavet atma swayam eva anshuman iva. Tata is thereafter or then. Avir is prakash. Bhavet is a spurate or rises. And the self-revealing atma shows itself. Swayam eva itself. Anshuman is sun. Iva is like. Like the sun which shines by the self. Swayam eva anshuman iva. Next slide. In Panchadashi, there is another example. In pitch dark room, there is a candle which is lit and another which is not lit. Imagine both are covered by pot. Next slide. Now, be very careful. The lighted candle, we have to remove a pot, and even as we are removing the lighted candle, is recognized because we have only one job to do. That is to one job to do. There is a avarana nivritti matra. Candle need not be illumined because already swayam prakashe. But there is another candle and covered by pot. To recognize, we have two jobs to do. One, we have to remove the pot, and if then also we cannot see because room is very dark. Thereafter, either we have to light a candle or take another source of light, that is a torch. Next slide. So, two functions are required here. First, removing the pot, which is called vritti vyapti. Second, lighting the candle, which is phala vyapti. The torch light is not required here because already phala vyapti is there. Similarly, the Atma is like a lighted candle. Ajnanam is ignorance like the pot. Bodhane is like a removing pot. Knowledge is removed by ignorance and the pot is removed. Atma Swayam Prakashate. Therefore, the Atma which is self-effulgent. Next slide. Difference between Atma Jnanam and Anatma Jnanam. Atma Jnanam requires only one function to remove Atma. Anatma Jnanam is required two functions to know the object. Atma Jnanam is necessary only to destroy ignorance, and that is called vritti vyapti. Anatma Jnanam is necessary to destroy ignorance, that is also called vritti vyapti. But as the Atma is self-revealing, phala vyapti or illumination is not required, whereas phala vyapti or illumination is also required for the object to be seen in Anatma Jnanam. So next verse 44. आत्मा तु सततं प्राप्तो अप्राप्तवा अविद्ययो तन्यासी प्राप्तवाद भाति स्वयं कंठा आभरण यथा. Here, sometimes examples are not 100%. Like the last verse, Surya Udaya was given that there was a sun was visible and sun was arising. So Purva is aprapta and Paschima is prapta. So they may lead to think Atma is aprapta vastu before sadhana, which like example is sun. Atma also is hiding behind Panchakosha. And you may think that by doing sadhana, he has to remove kosha one by one and Atma will come up like sun. And one may bound to make this imaginary and literally. But Shankaracharya says there is no such a thing like Atma Prapta. There is nothing like emerging or Prapta because Atma tu satatam Prapta. You are always there. So that is why we call Siddha Vastu, meaning even ever available as Aham. Aham iti rupena sarva sama sarvada sarvata vidyat iva yitma, whereas Anatma is always sadhya, to be attained in time, even though this is the fact. Apraptavat mati, it appears as though Atma is not attained. Sadhyavat bhati looks like something to be attained. Atma can be sadhyam only if people go in search of Atma. Next slide. Remember, when we say Atma is Siddha, Atma Swarupa is Ananda. Atma Ananda is Siddha, Atma Siddha also Ananda Siddha, already attained. And therefore, whenever one goes in search of Anand, he is going in search of Atma only. So one need not go specifically in search of Atma. Whenever one is going in search of peace and security, that means he is going searching for Atma alone. Shankaracharya says the very seeking is born out of avidya, which is because you are mudhamati, ignorant, foolish mind. Similarly, avidya aprapti iva mudhamati chintamati, and therefore the difference between moksha and me is purely ignorance. There is no distance in terms of space and time, but therefore there is no question of when will I get moksha. The question itself is wrong. Moksha is here and now, and if only we are ready to own up. Therefore, he says, Tannase, avidya naseti, praptavat bhati. Atma is attained, moksha is attained. Remember, Atma Prapti is a Moksha Prapti, synonymous. Ananda Prapti is Purnatva Prapti and Trupti Prapti. Shankaracharya is very careful and he uses the word Praptavata Bhati. After knowledge, Atma becomes to attain by me. Moksha seems to be attained by me. At that time, moksha is not really attained because what is away from me cannot be attained. What is my nature can neither be attained. Then the way we use prapta is wrong. The sense of loss is gone. So sense, the allotment in the sense of loss, feeling that I don't have peace, I don't have ananda. So now and after the knowledge, I don't miss Ananda anymore. This is a Bhranti Nivritti. Alone is a Prapti. Like another example given is Swakantha Avaranayata, like getting back ornament which was all the time its own neck. He or she run around all the place to search for and realize that it is around neck only. So the question is whether running around was necessary or till it was found or till found it was neck. Then there is a struggle of searching. Was it necessary at all? Yes, it was. Sadhana is necessary to know that sadhana was not necessary. Atma Siddha. Hari Om. Om Guru Pyo Namah.
Thank you, Asha Naik. Here, the idea was further explained. One, that we need not have to work anything to attain Brahman because Brahman itself is the end. Next slide, please. Yeah. Very important is, Sir gives one example. Once the sun or light is there, he is standing outside, and one person comes to him and says, do you know one darkness is there? He says, where is the darkness? There he is hiding in the cave. You go and see, he says. Oh, is it? And he opens the cave, and as soon as he enters, he doesn't see any darkness. Similarly, once we know that this is anatma, this vivek, that viveka comes and this knowledge comes, there's no need to analyze and know what is this atma because it is swayam prakasha as has been pressed. So we don't have to, once ignorance removed, that is enough. There's no need to again work for some brahmatvam or to gain brahmatvam. If we are not, as I told that moksha, we are not explaining, we don't have to get any halo around our head. If you are not having that, remember Shivji has told, prarabdha is running. So the world will not change. It is running as it is. So this mind, which is a tool, or this sense organ, etc., which is a tool to see this world, to feel this world, as we are purifying using the sadhana chatushraya sampatti, like vairagya, viveka, mumukshu, etc., we are purifying just like how you purify gold, or just like how we wipe this lens and see, this world will appear more clearer and better to us. That's all. Once we know this knowledge, that's it. There is nothing else. This nididhyasanam and other things is just to purify and get this to see the world better. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is what I explained. Once the light is shined, the darkness is revealed. Once we know that we shine a light and this there is no snake and we know this rope is there, then we don't say, oh, okay, is this python or is this cobra? Could it be, or what has happened? We don't analyze. Once I passed exam, getting more marks than me, I don't go back and see, oh, what has happened, why I have written this, why I have written that. All that looks superfluous to us. Similarly, once we know this Brahman, the Anatma, the baggages which comes with Anatma, all looks superfluous to us. And this is what is called as attaining the Brahmatvam. This Brahmatvam is always there, only that ignorance or avarana shakti is removed by knowledge. Next slide, please. Yeah. Atma exists in all. Anything which comes, goes. So anything you say this knowledge I have gained and I felt that, that means that knowledge will go. So it is the anatma which will attain and lose. Once we are ignorant of something, we become, knowledge of that and afterwards it is gone. But Brahmatvam or attaining knowledge is not like that. You don't Once we remove or we shine, the mirror is cleaned or removed of all the Brahman, and using the knowledge, once this ignorance is gone, there is no other thing to do to gain Brahmatvam or to gain Atma. This is the end. Next slide, please. Now, Vinayakan will explain the further verses 45 and 46, that is about the Gnanam. Vinayakan, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namah. So the verse continuing. Sthano Purushavat Brandaya Krita Brahmani Jivatah Jivasya Tattvike Rupe Tasmin Drishte Nivartate. Next slide, sir. Here, Shankaracharya uses another way of putting Brahma Prapti. So, continuation of the previous verse, this verse also talks about Brahma Prapti, that is attaining Brahman. So, here says Brahmani Jivata Brandya Krita. One is all the time Brahman and has superimposed Jivatma Buddhi. Tattvike Tasmin Rupe Drishte Sati. When the original nature, Brahma Swarupan of the Jiva is on top, then Jivatva Buddhi goes away, Nivartate. Brahma Prapti is equal to removing the thought that I am not Brahman. Abrahmatva Nivritti. So next slide, please. The word says Sthano Purushavat. Here, Purusha is taken as a thief or ghost. Stanya is a trunk of a tree which has been cut off and has only two branches left, which resembles like a ghost or thief in darkness. When a person goes near it and realizes that it is not a ghost, his fear goes away. In this verse, the word Brahmani is I am Brahman and I have got Jivatma Buddhi, and once Brahman is known, that Jivatma Buddhi goes away, and so also the Bhayam. So, seventh Anuvaga of Brahmananda Valli of Taittiriya Upanishad says the same thing. Brahmanasti Bhaya Abhaya Karanatvat. Brahman is the source of fear and fearlessness for an ignorant and wise person respectively. Bhayam represents samsara. Insecurity can never go away because everything in the creation is finite and is subject to loss and separation. The only thing cannot be lost is the infinite Brahman. So, Brahma Jnanam alone removes insecurity. When I claim that I am a wave, my security depends upon the ocean. So I should claim that I am water, not wave or ocean. Unknown Brahman is mistaken Brahman, which is called Jiva Jagat Ishvara, or the so-called Brahman which causes Bhayam. As conclusion, Brahma Jnanam alone removes insecurity. So we have to move from world dependence to God dependence and to self dependence. Discover the God in your own heart. Then the jnanam that there is Brahman is of no use. Theoretical jnanam is of no use. It should be that I am ever the Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Without Advaita jnanam, insecurity will never go away. Next slide, sir. So next verse says Jnana Phalam or Jivan Mukta and Videha Mukta. Verse 46. तत्त्वस्वरूपानुभवात् उत्पन्नं ज्ञानमञ्जसा अहं मामेति च अज्ञानं बद्धते दिग्भ्रमादिवत्. Further, phalam of ajnana nivritti is given. For example, taking the rope snake example, Rajju Jnanam destroys Rajju Ajnanam directly. It destroys some other things also. Whatever born out of Ajnanam is also destroyed. So, due to Rajju Ajnanam, Sarpa Adhyasa or Sarpa Bhrandi is born. That is superimposition of Sarpa. All these are products of ignorance. And once the Ajnanam is gone, Ajnanam being Karanam and Sarpa Brahma being Karyam. Karananashe Karyanasha. and adhyasa also goes away. Here, jnanam does not directly destroys adhyasa, the snake. Jnanam only directly destroys the ignorance. And once the ignorance is gone, the byproducts are also gone, which are adhyasa nivritti or sarpa nivritti. That is the superimposition of snake. Similarly, Brahma Jnanam destroys Brahma Ajnanam. That alone is the direct result. Brahma Ajnanam alone is the Karanam for all of our samsara. So Ajnanam is the Karanam and Jivatva or Samsaratva, Adhyasa, the Karyam. Ajnana is the carpet over which all the samsara are there. Jivatvam, samsara, sukha, dukkha, kama, krodha, all are on the Ajnanam carpet. Brahmajnanam just removes the karanam, the carpet, and thus the karyam also. So instead of using the word jivatvam and samsara, Shankaracharya uses the word ahankara and mamakara. So therefore he says that tattva surupa anubhavat utpannam jnanam. The knowledge that is born out of tattva surupa anubhava. Anubhava means aparoksha jnanam here. Tattva-swarupa Anubhavat Utpannam Jnanam. The knowledge that is born Anjasa immediately without any gap. That is between Jnana Utpatti and Ajnana Nivritti. It is like eating and vanishing hunger. Aham Mami. Next slide, sir. Aham Mameti cha Ajnanam. Superimposition is the karyam and ignorance is the cause. Jnanam destroys both directly and indirectly. For this, Shankaracharya gives an example. The last line says, Baddade Digbrahmadivat. Digbrahma means confusion regarding direction. Baddade means destroys. For example, if a person doesn't know which is east, it is a cloudy day, so he cannot spot the sun. But this person wants to know the east direction for some purpose. And he asks somebody which is the eastern direction. That person points to a direction and tells, this is the east. And the moment the statement is given, it destroys the ignorance of the seeker of the direction. This is the direct and immediate result. The indirect result is once he has removed the ignorance of the east, the ignorance of the west is also gone. Therefore, when once ignorance goes, it automatically destroys all other ignorance, also which is the byproduct of the first knowledge. Similarly, Brahmajnanam removes only Atmajnanam, and as a byproduct of all the other errors, as a byproduct, all the other errors also go away. As Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 11th verse says, Atma Ajnanam is the samsara karanam and Atma Jnanam is the moksha karanam. Hari Om. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. As Vinayakan has explained, like Raju example, oh, that may be as a rope, but anyway, to be safe, I will carry a stick. That means we have not got it. So, even if there is a slightest doubt in this Brahmatvam or knowing Brahman or Atma, then this we have not got it. That's why this Brahma Prapti is Abramatva Nivritti. That means we should be crystal clear that we are not this, we are not that. Once we know this, then Brahman is automatically gone. We don't need to gain something, build something to say that Brahmatvam is there. Next slide, please. So this is the Palam. Jnanam destroys Ajnanam. Here, the apparent distinction or distance, which is beautifully explained in Taittiriya Upanishad, it's a false notion. As long as you say, okay, God is there in heaven or something, the distance between me and God becomes longer and longer. But I say God is everywhere. That means He is very close. And God is inside me, still more close. God is everywhere, still. And God is me also. That is still more. And once this notion comes, be very careful. It does not destroy the adhyasa. Once we attain, once this prarabdha is not destroyed. So this sun, we know that sun doesn't rise in the east. We go that moon rotates, earth rotates, and all that. But still, as soon as we get to know this thing, the sun does not arise, from west, or it doesn't change. It continues to arise from east and set in the west. But we will know that this is the relative thing because the world is there, earth is there like that, and we are perceiving like that. Similarly, as soon as we attain, moksha, that doesn't mean the world will become suddenly goody goody and everybody will smile and talk. No, the world continues to be there. The world continues to be like that. Our body, as long as this prarabdha is there, will continue to be troubled this body. But the real me knows that we are using the tool of this body mind complex. So these are all the tribulations which occurs because we are using or the disturbance of the tool. Once we know that, this will not affect us. So as long as we are there in this world or this body or attached to this body, dharma or will dictate how we do, and we accept what are. And the key word is sarvatvatvam. This is the key thing. Next slide, please. So this is one. Next slide. Yeah, this is a beautiful verse which explains what we have already. Sarva bhutastha manam. Clearly, one who is this real Gnani? That means the one who sees self in all beings and all beings in the one. This is the ultimate. That means this is the vision of the Gnani. That means that if I means this Kiran is I, that means we have not got it. That may be because of the tool I'm dealing with the world. But inside me, I know when I say this world, I means that includes me, you, everything. And the same Atma is running through everyone. And as Swamiji beautifully says, there's not one God, there's not God everywhere, there's only God. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam. So everything which is is God only, and we are seeing because of the upadhis, the different manifestation of the same God or the same Brahman, same Atma. Once this vision become, this is the Brahmatva. Next slide, please. So we have to move, as Vinayakan has told, from the small me, that I, and draw into this. Once I say I or me, this is include the whole world. Next slide, please. And once we know infinite, that is the one which is infinite means it can have many forms. In reality, there is no form. If I, the real I means that does not have any form of this body or you or God or anything, which is beyond all this formless and which is running in and through and beyond everything. Once we know thus, this Sarva Bhutatma, that is, this is Adharam of everything, and all the world is just a manifestation or just arising in and out, just like our dream, uh, deep sleep, everything is just arising me and going. Once we reach that, this is the ultimate moksha. Next slide, please. And once we know that there's nothing else to do, there's nothing else to know. This is what is promised as Brahmavid Apnoti Param. Once we know that, once we drop the notion of separation, then we become Aikyam. There is nothing else. This is the Mahavakya. Next slide, please. And the background, just like how there is a canvas on which all the paintings are done. This background, the light in which everything becomes manifest, the space in which all the things become visible, this is the real me. Once this divinization or the ultimate thing occurs, then there is no separation, then there's no grief also. So all the grief we know is because it is through the upadhi of the mind-body complex or this world or this prarabdha. In essence, there is no grief at all. Then there's no grief at all. And all this we experience is just a, like a wave. Once we know that, we empathize with the world, we empathize with the suffering. That is because of our real nature we understood, and we know that because that body is also suffering just like our body, but we know deep inside that in me there is no grief and all comes and goes just like waves. And this is the real Brahmatvam, this is the real moksha. And once we know this, there is no fear and there is no grief. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Next slide. That's all.
Thank you very much, all speakers, starting with our review teacher, Dr. Hegde sir, Dr. Kiran, Sri Shiv Kumar, Dr. Asha Nayak, and Sri Vinayakan for your clear and elaborate explanation of these verses. Vedanta is a very, very profound subject, and it is these texts like the Atma Bodha that make it easy to understand with these illustrative examples. We will continue our study of the revision of the Atma Bodha in our next revision class. Please stay tuned for our Bhagavad Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation session 75 on the 21st of April 2025. Both texts studied together serve to reinforce our Vedantic understanding. We conclude with our Shanti Patha. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you.